It's another episode of the HR Champions podcast, and joining us today to share her journey, experience, and insights about things HR is Mary Ann Sipat. Mary Ann, or Maan, is the
Yeah.
Senior HR Manager at Jupiter Systems Inc., an IT services and IT consulting company based in Makati. So, thank you so much, Miss Maan, for joining us for today's episode, and I am really happy to have you here.
The pleasure is mine. However, after quite a long time waiting, we're finally here. So hello to all of the viewers that your podcast has. Yeah, there.
Thank you. Okay, so eto ma'am, this is what I always ask to my guests
Mm.
before I dive into my series of HR questions. Can you give us like a quick throwback siguro or a summary of your career in HR?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I started the first job that I had was as a training assistant for one of the schools there in the U Belt. I will not divulge which
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it was I was engaged by an agency before. I didn't know it back then that they were in an agency because I was young, and
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to yeah, well, they say, oh, this job pays, okay, fine, so whatever. Yeah, so that's where I started. And then after that, a friend of mine um tapped me because he was leaving his role in this other company. It's an accounting firm based in Makati City. So I got started there as an HR generalist first, and then I stayed on for the company for 9 years. Yeah, 9 years, I think. Generalist, and then I eventually became a supervisor, then assistant manager, then head. And then after that, because I was doing it for 9 years, I thought of like one day I woke up and then I said like, okay, what's next? What's next? And I can do all things here, so maybe let's try something else. So I did a total 180, and
Mm-hmm.
I tried applying to this startup company actually. Uh, Also because I saw this there was this show back then in HBO, I think, the name is Silicon Valley, and it was the premise was that it was a software company. So basically they were in tech, and I found it very interesting. And then this startup company said that I could go to the office wearing shorts and
Talaga?
yeah, wearing shorts, and then
Mm.
wearing Crocs and everything. And I came from high corporate, like super strict corporate, because this were all like public accountants and auditors and stuff. So you have to be in blazer and heels all the time.
Mm.
So that was a breath of fresh air. So I stayed on there until unfortunately they ceased operations. So I did quite get to be there for a very long time. So it was just maybe around like 4 months. And then after that, I figured I should continue more in tech. So that's how I ended up in JSI, in Jupiter Systems, which is actually a software development company. Yeah.
Oh, software development. Okay. Sige.
Yeah.
Eto, when did it come to you like a conscious decision na HR is the career that you really want to pursue? What's
Oh, I
what's the
don't know if
story?
I don't know if it was a conscious decision for me to be here, but if we're into stories, okay, let me tell you a story. When I was, you know how it's like when you're young, right? I graduated with a degree in psychology because
Mm.
really, I'm an only child, and my parents wanted me to be in the medical field. So,
Mm.
back then they wanted me to take up like a pre-med course because they want me to be a physician of some sort. So I don't know why they thought of that, but yeah. Anyway, so what happened was they wanted me to take up nursing because it was the in thing back then, and I didn't
Mhm.
want that because I didn't like blood, the usual stuff. And then we reached a compromise, so we took up psychology. Now, uh, when you first graduate psychology, especially back then, so if you don't end up as a clinician, you're gonna end up in the industry in HR. So that's basically what happened. But the thing there is, right after I finished my undergraduate degree, I enrolled for a master's for a graduate program in the Yellow School. So, but the training was for clinical psychology. So I'm supposed to be a psychiatrist. So that's
Mhm.
that's what happened. And then,
Ha.
like what I said earlier, my friend said that. uh you're not doing anything worthwhile, so why don't you like be an HR for a while? And I said that I would stay for like a year. That's what I said. That
Okay.
or at least I would stay until I finish up my graduate degree. But that has been like ancient history. I've been here for I've been here for 15 years, 14 years
Wow, for
actually.
15.
Yeah, to be exact. So I don't know if this was a conscious decision. I don't think that that happened to me, that I actively thought na I would go on and like take on all these HR positions. But I guess my main thing in all of this is that I always continue doing the things or the pursuits that I enjoy. So that's the thing for me. So they are other people, especially now, now you all have these courses that gear kumbaga parang straightly or specifically with human resources. You have human resource development,
Mhm.
human HR management. Those are the courses that they have right now. Back then, we didn't have the choice.
Wala yun.
So,
Mm.
yeah, wala yun. So, ngayon talaga, I find it kumbaga parang it's such a nice thought na ngayon it's not overlooked as a profession anymore. So it's not just kumbaga parang before kasi it's a fallback. Parang gano'n. Di
Mhm,
ba? You
okey.
can always have it as a fallback. But ngayon, you can actually actively choose for it to be a career for you. And before kasi parang when they know that you're in HR, so you have all this like hindi naman siguro misconceptions or parang conceptions na lang. O sige,
Mhm.
conceptions and parang stereotypes na parang, oh, it's going to be a boring job, a pen and paper, blah, 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 whatever, ganun. But now it's not like that. So I'm very happy and very proud to still be here in HR.
Galing, galing. Okay, so
Mhm.
in that a decade and a half being in HR, so
It
I'm
sounds so long when you say it like that.
okay. So
Yeah. Uh,
I'm sure you have gained different skills that really help you succeed in that space, diba? So for
mhm.
you, what would be like the top three must-have skills of someone who is in HR na that they should have or they should really develop for them to really succeed
Mm.
and stay in this field? Like top three
Okay.
for you.
That's so hard. Okay, I guess but this is from my perspective, yes. So
Go,
it
go.
might of course differ from other HR practitioners. So but for me, the number one is a genuine interest in people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that you're either born with it or you're not. So if you're not born with it and you want to be in HR, so why? But yeah, but if you're not, I guess if you're not born with it, but you're interested in some other HR facets, then you need to nurture the people side. So when we say like a genuine interest in people, it's just not like people skills, because everybody can be an extrovert, everybody can be like, all friendly and all, but where is the interest? Like you have to be interested in the people, and not just look at them like numbers on a sheet. So
Yeah.
that's number one for me. And number two, you should be adaptive. That's very important. So that's super,
Yes.
super important. An example of that is during the pandemic. So remember, during the pandemic, there was no precedent, right? And nobody knew that was going to happen, and there were no like fail safes, kumbaga, in place. So, but what are we going to do if the whole world is on a lockdown? So
Mm.
and then as part of HR is a part of a support in the organization, so that includes accounting, finance, marketing, and stuff, and admin, so on and so forth. But so it will be up to the HR personnel to like get a sense out of all of these things that are happening. So all of these like factors, what's gonna be done with this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Now, if you are kumbaga parang you're not adaptable, o parang it will be really hard for you. So that's just like one factor of it. The other factor is also when you're dealing with people, not all of them you cannot kumbaga parang you can't put people into cookie cutter molds, na parang lahat ng heart shape dito or lahat ng circle shape
Mm.
ganito,
Mhm.
ganyan. So, madami yung iba-iba. Kailangan marunong ka makibagay. Yan, marunong ka
Yes.
mag-adapt sa different temperaments. And then, number three, what else? Innovative. Yan. That is something na parang it's usually not seen as kumbaga parang something that's important facet of being an HR practitioner, because some would say like you have to be responsible, you have to be disciplined and all, but I think that goes with the territory, when you're working already. So parang dapat naman talaga tayo lahat responsable, lahat naman talaga tayo dapat time managers kumbaga. So yun, I think, innovation is at the forefront of everything. So parang if you're, kumbaga parang scared of changes, you're not uh, going to get places. So you're just going to be there. And everything is evolving, especially in
Yes.
this digital age, no? So parang you blink once and then you don't know what's happening already. So that's very important, I think.
Okay. So that's genuine interest in people, adaptive and innovative. Diba?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Especially
Mm.
for innovative, being innovative kasi 'di ba? As what you mentioned, it's a fast-paced era, 'di ba? It's
Yeah.
constantly
Mm.
changing and kapag hindi ka nag-adapt, you'll get left behind, 'di ba?
Yeah,
It's
correct.
very
Yes.
important for HR to 'di ba? To be in that
Mm-hmm.
to be in that pace. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
so far, what has been your biggest challenge, or the biggest challenge you have faced as an HR leader?
Oh, dealing with people. So that still is. Uh, Dealing
Yes.
with people, when we say people, naman kasi you're not just like kumbaga parang it's not just like saying the rank and file people, no. So you
Mhm.
have all these types of different people like working in the ano. So parang for you to be able to get something done, so you have to kumbaga parang speak with a lot of stakeholders and to balance them all. Sometimes it's a test, o hindi pala sometimes, often. So often it's a test of your patience, it's a test of your character, and it's a test of your skill set. Kung gaano mo kumbaga kahusay kayang i-navigate yung mga different personalities na yon
Yes.
to get what you want done, because you have your goal in mind, and that is the service of the people. So parang all of the other people na kumbaga parang you're working with, and or looking up to HR as somebody that they can trust, or somebody that would give them parang the answers that would benefit them. So
Mhm.
yun.
Yes, can't agree more. If I may add, Miss Man, on that, yung
Mhm.
listening skill will really play a crucial role in that, di ba?
Correct.
Especially if you're dealing with, again, with different persons with different personalities, different limits.
Mhm.
So it's one thing I really admire from HR people, their ability to actively listen. Kasi 'di ba, when you listen, you have to set aside your personal biases, 'di ba? 'Di
Yeah, yeah.
ba?
A lot
Kasi
of times. Yeah.
it's
Mm-mm.
something that I really try to develop then when I try to listen. Kasi there are I'm not sure if you have experienced this. Meron kasi minsan pagkausap mo, parang few sentences pa lang, gusto mo nang may inaano ka ng reply sa kanya, 'di
Yeah.
ba? So I'm not
Yeah.
sure if
Oo.
you have done that. But in
Gusto mo na
HR,
kontrahin, no?
oo, something like that. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
Again, pag iba-iba yung kausap mo, 'di ba? But for
Mhm.
HR, it's something na talaga you really have to have like a mastery or control. Again, setting aside your own personal biases for you to completely listen to kung
Yeah.
ano yung sinasabi ng kausap mo, 'di ba? Ayun.
Yeah. Oo. Kasi it's important for you to get to the point of what he's trying to say, di ba? Not just what he's saying, but
Oo.
why is he saying that pa?
Oo,
Diba?
'di
So,
ba?
may galit na galit ka na. Tapos, parang, galit na galit ka. Ba't kayo kagalit? Eh, ito pala yung pinagagalitan. Yeah. So, parang with years of like
Oo.
practice and experience in HR, parang you get to know eh. Parang you get to really listen. Like, parang
Mm.
sometimes, problems are cyclical sometimes. I mean that in the sense na hindi naman paulit-ulit. Pero most of the problems you'll encounter, parang you would probably have somewhat similar experience to that. So, kumbaga parang you get on this bank na parang, paano nga yung ginawa ko nun dati? Paano nga siya before? Gano'n. So,
Oo.
Yun, gano'n.
Mm. Yun, naalala ko. Kasi add to that, you have to really also read sa mga body language, sa mga gesture, di
Oh,
ba?
yeah.
So
Mhm,
it's
yeah.
something that really psychiatrists and psychologists are really good at. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Mm-mm.
let's jump in naman into the more timely subject. Okay, let's talk
Mhm.
about employee retention. There was a recent survey, I think it was last year, conducted by Sprout, wherein they tried to ask yung HR community the top three or the hardest part of being an HR. So what emerged as the top three most difficult were recruitment, that's a top three, and then employee
Mhm.
engagement at top two, and then top one is employee retention. So nung una kong na ano yun, nabasa, I thought it was recruitment. Hindi ba recruitment pinakamahirap? Because on my
Yeah.
limited understanding of the HR process, kasi before you hire, obviously you have to understand ano ba yung requirement ng company, anong headcount,
Correct.
'di ba, positions that we need to fill in, and then you do the benchmarking, ano ba yung sahod ng position that we are trying to recruit. And then you do the talent search, and then you do the talent search, you do the shortlisting. After that, you do the interviews, a series of interviews pa yan. And then you do the what? Negotiation na siguro ng salary, and that's back and forth, di ba? Sa management and with the applicant. And then after that, onboarding. So that process, so for me, I think that's very complex, and I thought yun yung pinakamahirap. But it turned out, according dun sa survey, mas mahirap to keep them engaged and retain them consequently. I want to know your take. You don't have to agree on that. Baka may ibang ano ka, may ibang point of view. So I want to know your take on those top three like most challenging tasks for the HR teams.
Okay, so let's start off first with recruitment. Recruitment, since the age of civilization, has always been hard. So,
Oo.
because all of this, you're correct there, na parang it's really a complex thing. So, marami talaga yung pinagdadaanan. So, minsan, it's not, you get, usual problems in recruitment. You get a ton of candidates for a specific position, but not all of them are qualified. So now you have to do your maths, your numbers and everything. Like, where are we going wrong here in our process? Parang maybe we're sending out the wrong message. Why are we getting this wrong applicants? Or maybe it's the job portal itself. So did we forget to tweak something on the portal? What does our ad say? So those types of things. So I agree. Every HR will tell you that. Recruitment is so freaking hard. It is so freaking hard. Now, there's also this ano pa parang when they tell you when people ask you like what do you do? Oh, I'm in HR. And then they would always ask you like may opening ba kayo,
Oo,
that's the
oo.
that's the first thing that would they would ask you. Or I have this cousin na parang is looking for a job. They have like an open vacancy for this person and something something. So for the longest time, that's all they think HR is. Kumbaga parang oh, wala kaming tao, kunan mo kami ng tao. Ganun lang, di
Mm-mm.
ba? But now we move on to the second phase of those problems that we're talking about. So retention, di ba? Now, um, retention is I believe yes, it is an HR problem, but it is not an HR problem solely. Kumbaga, it is a company
Yes.
problem. It is an
Mm-mm.
organization-wide problem because for in order for you to kumbaga, keep somebody happy and contented in their post, whatever it is within your organization, it is not the sole work of HR alone.
Yes.
Actually, that goes more with the line management because they are the ones who get to interact with these people on a daily basis, right? So parang do you have the correct middle people in place? So that's a thing to ask. Kumbaga, parang if all of your employees are leaving, parang, and then of course you have this like at the end of every year, we do an exit interview report. So all of those people who have left us. So
Mm.
of course, we compute for all of the things there, like at least those quantitative items that we can compute for. And then you have the qualitative, like in the comments na parang, oh, pangit dito, wag tayo dito. Yung mga gano'n, di ba?
Oo.
Sometimes you get that from a really irate employee, ganyan. And then, uh, in there kasi, parang you get to see, kumbaga parang the insights of the people who have left you for greener pastures. Why are they leaving you? So from there on, kumbaga parang you're gonna see na, ganito pala, ganito pala, ganito pala, ganon. So, some of them, kunyari, for example, they have problems with their immediate superior. So, keso ganito, keso ganyan, or uh, kulang sa appreciation or whatever like that. So, it's not always like they're leaving you because your salary is not competitive. So, hindi laging ganon. Kasi
Mm.
usually, yun ang iniisip nila na parang, oh, we're not competitive enough in terms of salary ranges. So, that's why people are leaving. But sometimes, you can give them like 6 times the salary of what is being offered to them outside, but they still won't stay because of the other factors that are in play.
Mm.
So there is no, I always say this, there is no specific formula to follow to be able to keep your employees. Okay, so retention wise, because I always get this a lot. I always get asked this a lot. So parang tinatanong nila, parang okay, so parang what do you do to keep your people? Or di ba? Parang how do you ensure that your retention, your retention programs are working and blah blah blah. Or
Mm.
there are a million ways to answer that question. But all of that, you have to try first and see if it's going to work for you. So in that essence, that's very hard because in HR, parang when you do your research, syempre, among us in the industry, when we do research, oh, what did they do ba? Like parang to keep these people, like this, for example, a company did this, blah blah blah, and they were able to like parang have a retention rates of like 94%. Like, how did you do that? So
Mm.
you're gonna read on that what they did, and then you're going to try to apply it to you if you can, no? If kumbaga parang all of the factors are the same, and then it doesn't work for you. So that is why it's so hard because wala talagang any HR will tell you that na parang walang makakapagsabi sa iyo kung parang ganito gawin mo o makikip mo sila
Yes.
lahat o wala
Oo.
gano'n. So kaya again, babalik tayo dun sa sinabi natin kanina na it is important in HR to be very adaptive and intelligently adaptive. Na not everything you can adapt and expect for it to work, especially. Yun. And then the last thing is engagement. Okay, that's what they said. So sa engagement naman, yeah, especially during the pandemic, it was hard, no?
Oo.
Because you don't see all these people and you used to see them all the time. It's easier when all of them are parang in the same working space as you on site in person because you as you said earlier, parang us kasi user people, we use context cues, kumbaga, parang physical, physical context cues. So parang, okay. Alam mo yung mga sinasabi na parang, this person is like slouching all the time, ganon. Parang,
Mm.
why are you slouching all the time? Ngayon. So, something might be happening. But when you don't see them, you don't know. Because you cannot mandate naman the people na parang, oh, you show me a picture of you all day. Or parang, or parang,
Oo.
o, di ba? Or parang you put a monitor on them na parang all day and then you're just looking, okay, his face expression change. Parang, you can't do
Mm.
that because number one, of course, that's micromanaging. Number two, it's not possible. Really, it's not possible. So, yun. Uh, it is a problem because, again, as we mentioned, as we touched on earlier, everything is fast-paced now, no? So, parang the usual things before that used to give gratification, now, medyo nag-iiba na, no? So, kung before, if other people will be happy with this, ngayon, they want other things na. So again, if you're not innovative and then if you're not adaptive, so you're gonna end up with like miserable people, kumbaga.
Mm.
So
Yes,
that is a
yes.
problem really. But I guess if you're going to ask me kung parang what is the most, kumbaga parang most pressing problem talaga amongst the streets, for me it's retention, really.
Mm. Okay, okay. I like what you said kanina, yung ano, there's no one program that HR can follow that will apply to, I think, to everyone, di ba? But I think
Yes.
culture will play like a really big role when it comes to
Yeah.
retention, di ba? Like what you've said
Yes.
kanina, kahit 6 times pa yung sahod mo na ibinibigay kay employee, but meron
Mm-mm.
pa ring reason but they will not stay or they will not join your
Yeah.
company, di ba? Mm.
Mm.
Ah,
Depende, talaga yun, eh. So, kaya parang lagi naming sinasabi, parang our role here is to, kumbaga, parang to recruit for you. Taking care of these people that we have recruited is a part of our mission, but the bulk of it lies with you.
yes.
Yun.
Agree,
Mhm.
agree. Eto, yung next question ko, Miss Maan, eto na-touch mo kanina, yung employee engagement during COVID. Let's say, 'di ba,
Mhm.
you have your set of programs that you were rolling out, and
Yeah.
then pandemic happened. And then we are now going back to 'di ba, to the usual kasi we were recovering na.
Mhm.
So what significant changes have you seen when it comes to employee engagement since COVID?
Okay, so, back then, during the COVID times or now that we're on the recovering phase?
Mhm.
Siguro nung panahon nung COVID, mahirap talaga 'no. So, kasi nga parang you have to rack your brains, kung paano ba? Kasi parang everything is online. So, you have to, 'di ba nauso nga yung like this things like
Oo, online na lahat.
online meetings, yeah,
Oo.
online webinars, ganyan. And then, during the first months, of course, it would be like fun. Kasi parang it's not
Oo.
something that you're used to, no?
Yes,
So, di
yes.
ba, parang you're coming into Zoom meetings like wearing your top half best. Di ba?
Oo.
Parang
Tapos
yung mo
iba pa
alam
naka-short
naka-jalong
lang 'no?
pants pala. Naka-short lang pala eh, no? So,
Oo.
mga gano'n, di ba? So, but the novelty, as with all things, wears off after some
Yes.
time, no?
Mm.
So, kumbaga, parang but we had no choice. Kasi nga, parang you cannot ask them to come because it's not allowed. So, and then,
Mm.
even if it eased up a bit, so parang the government had released these guidelines before na parang, for example, if you have this floor area, this is, kumbaga parang just the number of employees that could come there. So maybe like,
Mm.
I don't know, maybe like 30% is allowed for you since you're in this business, like 50% if you're this and that. So what we did, I guess I'm just gonna talk about it in that context. So what we did back then was we really, kumbaga, parang, uh, anong tawag dito, o kumbaga, we really took advantage of parang utilizing technology back then. So,
Yes.
considering especially that we're a software company, so parang,
Mm.
we all have this super smart kids, this super smart
Siyempre, makes
people na
sense, 'di ba?
parang, yeah, would see through you. They would see through you if you're just faking your stuff up because they're very smart. So,
Oo.
uh, and then, so what we did was like, we tried to migrate all of the on-site things that we used to do pre-pandemic to online. So, I remember we had a bingo, something like that. Yeah, ganun, na parang it was done during the Halloween. We did like an online bingo, and then we asked people to come in wearing your scary costumes and stuff, and they did. They did do that, and
Okay.
then eventually it eased up. Kumbaga, lumuwag-luwag din ng konti. We were able to do some hybrid events. So doing a hybrid event is an animal in itself. So it's a different animal because it's even harder. A hybrid is harder than a full online or a full on-site thing
Mm.
because a hybrid event would have you thinking about like the technical aspects and everything. So, ang hirap. Ang dami mong mga kailangang isipin. O, naririnig niya ba ako? Mga stuff like that.
Ah,
And then, yeah, so parang, and then there's also the question of making it engaging for the people who are online or joining online as opposed to the people who are on site. Because again, it's different, di ba? Parang kumbaga parang you cannot replicate the feel of being in a room full of
exactly.
people.
Exactly.
So, yun. So, kumbaga, then we did the hybrid events before. After 2 years, the people were itching to, kumbaga parang, not report on site, but see each other. Ganon.
Mm.
Uh, So they wanted to, kumbaga parang, oh, do you have something for us to do? So they were the ones pa, parang the employees pa were the ones who were asking me, like, parang, ma'am, do you have something for us ba? Ganyan, ganyan. And they were, sila na yung, kumbaga, nagsasuggest sa parang, we want to do this. And I listened, I
Mm.
listened. So, because after all, parang, what am I here for? Kumbaga, if it's something we can do and something that you'd like, then let's go do it. So, yun. And then we had this esports tournament.
Oo, usong-uso yun, 'di
Yeah.
ba? Oo.
Yeah, nauso kasi siya before. And then we had an esports tournament. And then some of these people were meeting each other for the first time. And
Talaga?
it was such a rewarding feeling when you hear them uh, fighting each other in person.
Okey.
But because the offices used to be so quiet,
Tapos nagdatingan sila lahat 'no?
and it's now filled with people. And uh, we were the first ones to report on site actually during the pandemic. I mean, us in support, so that includes HR. So we have to be there, HR has to be there
Mm.
when the restrictions were lifted. Uh, when it was given to us the restrictions, like, they said that, oh, it's the lockdown tomorrow, di ba? That's
Mm.
what they said. That's how they did it 2020. I remember that fondly because I was one of the last people to leave the office. I think I think that's March
March
17 or
17
7.
ba o something like basta March, yun yung naalala ko,
Yeah,
that's March.
something with the 7 on it, so 17 or 7, something like that. So on the eve of that, I was one of the last people who to leave the office in person. I was one of the last few people to leave the office, and I didn't know how I was going to go home because you have to fix everything up. Kasi parang nobody knows what's gonna happen. Okay, so una sa lahat, like, how do you assure that everybody's going to be working tomorrow?
Oo.
So parang you have to set a system of like logging in and logging out. Paano ba all these protocols and everything. So
Mm.
uh yun. Okay, so ngayon naman, for now kasi nga we're easing up, so it's better now. Still not the same. I don't think we're ever going to go back to how it was pre-pandemic, like 100%, because times have
Mm.
changed. Some things we have proven that it will work. So tuloy lang. Kung kumbaga parang if it's not broken, don't fix it. Maybe improve on it, I guess. But don't fix it or don't take it away. Kumbaga. So um ngayon naman, so we're mostly now on-site events now. This is for the engagement, ha?
Mm.
So we see a huge turnout still. I don't know if we're lucky that we have employees that are, they would always enjoy an opportunity to be at the office and to join any of our pakulo. Kumbaga, ganon.
Mm.
So, I don't know. I guess it has something to do with the culture, how we have always, I guess, branded ourselves as a company who, kumbaga, parang thinks of how you would be able to have fun also. So, ganon. Yun.
Mm.
But this engagement I'm talking about is just for the events, ha? So it's not pa how do you keep them, kumbaga, parang motivated
Mm. Mm.
to do their jobs. Like, do you have a reward system in place? I guess that's also a question. There are many things, again, na kumbaga parang you can think of as a program for your engagement. Parang if you're just again innovative enough and you know your audience very well. Yun.
My next question about generation. So it's no
Mhm.
secret that yung workforce ngayon is really made up of of employees from different generations, 'di ba? But I
Yes.
think predominantly millennials and Gen Zs are now the force, 'di ba? Um
Yes.
and each generation, let's include na siguro si Gen X, 'di ba? Gen X, millennial and then Gen Zs. So each generation of employees has their own traits, 'di ba?
Yes.
I
Mm.
read somewhere they have their own bright spots and blind spots. So that's how they describe it, eh. 'Di ba?
Yeah. Oo.
For the for the Gen Zs, ito yung online generation. They're very adept when it comes to doing things online. So that's one of
Yes.
their strengths. Pero one of their parang again blind spot is that once parang nag-offline, and then they find it really difficult to adjust. So I think that's
Yes.
one. On the other end, ito yung mga, again, si Gen X, these batch of employees are really the hardworking, the loyal ones. Pero ito rin yung generation that are very resistant to change, di ba?
Correct.
Na,
Yes.
bakit
Mhm.
papalitan pa, gumagana naman, di ba? Things like that.
Mm.
And then
Mhm. Mhm.
millennials tayo, we're in the middle, so we can relate to both of these generations. So for you as an HR leader, how do you like do a strategy wherein you make sure that all of these diverse employees really feel belong to a one team and lead them to work harmoniously in the organization?
Oh, okay. The first and foremost thing is the importance of open communication. So, yun talaga yun.
Yes. Mm-mm.
As you have mentioned, these people have like different traits. I don't want to, kumbaga parang generalize it and say na parang, oh, these people, because they belong to like Gen Z, ganito sila, or Gen X. But hindi naman lahat, oh. So, we outliers. Siyempre, we outliers din.
Mm.
Especially the Gen Z people, they won't like that, if they if we say na, oh, Gen Z ka kasi, ganyan, tapos ganito,
Oo.
ganyan, ganyan. Oh, they hate that. They hate that so much. So, anyway, um, this different generations, sige, for the purposes of this discussion, this different generations, they, again, they have all of this like different traits. Ngayon, kumbaga parang you cannot listen to the other while ignoring the other one.
Mhm.
So, sometimes kasi they're saying the same thing but only in the different language. Hello. So, that's where what you said earlier, active listening and really learning how to listen plays a very crucial role. Kumbaga, because isa lang naman ang pinupunto nila, So, kumbaga, magkaiba lang kung paano nila sabihin. So, you have to,
Mhm.
kumbaga, parang find a common space between them where they could meet. Ganon. Sometimes, an HR person can act as a translator,
Mm.
especially if you are in a leadership position. That is
Yes.
one of the many hats that we wear. Aside from being a barangay tanod, events organizer, sometimes I'm a lawyer. When COVID
Investigator.
came, yeah, investigator. When COVID came, I was also DOH, So,
Okay. Oh,
yeah,
grabe. Different hats talaga.
yes, different hats. So, and then, and then again, yeah, translator. Because sometimes if you don't get in the middle of these people, they will fight, That is something that you cannot, kumbaga parang, it's something that you have to be prepared for because it's not something you could not totally rule out, So, you make sure that everybody feels heard and everybody is appreciated for their contributions,
Yes.
no matter how trivial it may seem to the person itself or to other people. So always make sure that they are recognized and that they are listened to. Sometimes that's all there is to it. Yung iba kasi parang iniisip, bigyan mo ng uh, although good din naman yun, no? Kunyari, for example, galing nito, bigyan mong bonus, ganyan, no? So, but what if your company doesn't have the, kumbaga, parang bandwidth to be able to do that? So, let's say, for example, you're just starting out, like it's a small company, maybe like 15, 20 people, and you don't have the luxury of like this budgets and everything. So, you work with what you have. And what is it that you have? Your genuine interest in people. Yun.
Mhm. Okay. I like what you said kanina yung sa um, being a translator. Kasi 'di ba,
Yeah.
curious lang at Jupiter Systems, yung predominantly ano yung ng workforce niyo, ano generation?
Oh, if you're getting younger by we're getting younger by the month. Oh, sige, wag na by the month,
Talaga?
by the quarter. By the quarter na lang, yeah. When
Hmm.
I first started here, just to give you an idea, the median age when I first started was around maybe like, I guess 32 point something years now.
Hmm.
Now, close to 5 years later, and then the median age is now at 29 point something. I think 29.1 is the last reported day. So
I see.
29.1. So, that's 3 years. It's
Mm.
not something insignificant,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
something that you have to think about. So, 29-year-olds. But when you really look at kumbaga parang the list of the people, uh, usually we have people who are Gen Zs. So
Mm.
each passing day, when we hire people, uh, it's mostly Gen Zs, especially
Mm.
if it's for entry-level jobs.
Okay.
So, ang dami namin mga fresh graduates, ganyan. Because, unlike uh, other companies, well, and they cannot be faulted din naman, no, for it.
Mm.
I'm just going to put it out there.
Mm.
It's a matter of preference din naman, no? But other companies kasi won't, kumbaga, parang give chances to
Mm.
fresh graduates because, in the Philippines, parang in order for you to get a government ID, you should have two other government IDs first, right? So,
Oo. Na
same also with the workforce sometimes. So, parang you want to be this, but you have to experience. So, you have to have 6 months experience or 1 year experience in order for you to be able to be qualified for this job. But how are you supposed to do that if nobody is giving you a chance for an entry level role that requires
mm.
no experience, right?
Oo.
So I find it somehow amusing. Now I find it amusing. When I was younger, I find it annoying talaga. I find it
Oo.
infuriating. But it comes with age. Fine.
Oo.
You do you.
Yeah, yeah. The reason I ask kasi what you mentioned kanina, translator, I think
Yeah.
that comes in, especially sa language. Let's say, I'm not sure at Jupiter Systems, baka on your previous work, di ba, mas present yung different generations. And doon papasok talaga importance of being a translator. You have to understand their language. Kasi
Yes.
iba-iba yung
Yes.
language, di ba? I read this
Yes.
article in LinkedIn wherein iba yung language nila. Let's say for me yung I'm not sure if na ano mo yung term na awit.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Before,
Uh-uh.
clueless talaga ako kung ano ibig sabihin nun. And then I asked my niece ano ibig sabihin ng sakit, yung pala yun. So I realized, oo nga no. And then talagang for HR, and
Mm.
I'm going to to the HR role. So kailangan alam nyo din pala dapat yun, di ba? You
Yeah,
have to
you have
understand
to.
what's happening
Mm-mm.
inside kasi what
Yeah.
work kasi
Mm-hmm.
pag sinabi mo yun sa Gen X, ano yun?
Mm.
'Di ba? Ganun
Oo.
yung
For
ano.
example, oo, yung word na ginamit mo, no, kunyari, awit, gano'n. So, you read it, for example, on a Facebook post. So they're talking about something and then somebody said na parang, awit, ganyan.
Oo.
And then, you have to make kwento to the supervisor or whoever it is that you have to make kwento to raise this information. You can say, he said awit without context. So, parang,
Oo.
ano naman, kung sinabi yung awit, di ba? So, you have to explain, when they say awit, ibig sabihin nun, parang, oh my God, you're not doing such a good job. Gano'n. So,
Mm.
kasi he had to say that, kumbaga. So, and then a funny thing happened, actually, fairly recently lang, no? Because, my friends are, of course, at the same range as I am. I have friends, of course, that are of the same age range as I am.
Mm.
Uh, we are in group chats, and sometimes I would let out a remark na parang without knowing that they don't get it pala. Because
Oo.
parang unlike me, they are not always at the company of younger people. So, kumbaga, parang, oh, what do you mean? So, and then I
Oo.
have to explain it to them. But that is why, kumbaga, the importance of research also. But when
Yes.
we say research, hindi naman yun parang, you scar through the interwebs, like, you watch a lot of TikTok so that in order for you to be able to relate to these kids, because again, they would see if you are fake, they would see
Mm.
it, they would know it na parang if you're just watching TikTok just so you're cool, just so you could relate to us, and they would
Oo.
tell it to you, they have no qualms. They have no qualms with saying that, parang, oh, you're just watching us because you see it everywhere, then you just you're just gonna end up looking inauthentic. So you have to get their trust, by kumbaga parang learning how to speak their language without being overtly annoying about it, I guess.
Mm.
That is why, kumbaga, sa amin, sa HR, I would always want an intern to be there, you know? I would always want somebody who's good because, again, it's a chance for you to teach this kid something, you know? If you really wanna be in HR, well, let me teach you a couple of tricks. And then number two, you also learn from these kids. So, you know, what's happening? Like, uh, I had an intern last year who I really enjoyed working with and I really enjoyed teaching. And then I let him go in order for him to, you know, learn from other people. I mean, I could have absorbed him, but I think that would be, kumbaga, parang a disservice. Kumbaga, you know, he learned from other people. Parang you cannot learn everything from me. So you learn from others. And he
Mm.
calls me mama for some reason. Yeah.
Oo.
And then I learn all this like Gen Z things from him, Gen Z concepts from him, just by listening, you know, listening. And then when I don't get something, I ask point blank. So
Mm.
that is also, but Gen Xers usually won't have the time or,
Yes.
you know, won't have the time for that. Like, parang, why do I need to ask you that? Diba? Parang, you
Oo.
should speak my language and stuff like that. So that's where we come in. Your HR person comes in. Oh, that's not what he's trying to say. This is what he's saying to you.
Mm.
Yun.
Okay,
Mhm.
sige. Let's jump in naman man on health, on well-being. In
Okay.
the recent years, the top health priorities of companies were the physical and mental health, especially during
Yes.
COVID, di ba? For
Mhm.
physical health, there are organizations who really invested on vitamins, on flu shots, kahit wala pang vaccine,
Yeah.
sige, bigyan natin yung mga employees natin. And then,
Mhm.
of course, face mask, gloves, face shield, di ba? So all of those things were provided by the company kasi they really want to take care of their employees physically, on the physical health.
Mhm.
For the mental health naman, um, organizations realize na it really was like an experience, like siguro traumatic pa nga for other employees.
Yeah.
That's why they came up with mental well-being seminars, webinars, di ba, online.
Mhm.
Meron ding
Mhm.
nag-conduct ng one-on-one consultation with a licensed psychiatrist, di ba? So they really invested on
Mhm.
that to make sure na sa employees will not experience burnout, di ba? But one of
Mhm.
the things that we have observed na hindi nabigyan ng masyadong highlight is yung financial health. Kasi di ba,
Mhm.
again, during COVID, ang dami nag-strong companies, especially for the startups, and then employees
Yeah.
went jobless.
Mm.
They don't know
Mhm.
where to get their next yung next na sahod nila. Um, savings were used up, financial resources were really depleted, and then it also gave rise to loan sharks. Maraming
Yeah.
nagpautang and employees were taken advantage
Mm.
of kasi they were not aware.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the same time they were desperate kasi kailangan nila ng pera.
Mhm.
But now, as again as we were slowly recovering from the COVID, as an HR leader now, how do you see financial health being the focal point naman in coming up with new programs for employee engagement and benefits?
Mhm. Well, it's something I believe that is also very important because even back then, during even before the pandemic, at the other companies that I work for, and this one also, I always say na parang maybe we should hold a financial literacy seminar, especially considering that most of our parang employees are younger,
Mm-mm.
kumbaga. So, their financial planning is very important and often overlooked, especially when you're young. I would
Yes.
know because I've been there. So, yeah.
Mm-mm.
So, especially, you know, you have this like fresh graduates and then they have like a job for 3 months and then the first thing that they're going to apply for is a credit card, you know, because it looks, I don't know, adult maybe, looks good that you have a credit card that you like swipe and everything, but
Mm.
nobody is explaining like parang how do you get the bang for your buck there, the bang for your buck there, like which type of like financial service should you get, like all of this other kumbaga, parang should you invest your money, at what point do you invest your money,
Mm.
even to the most kumbaga, simple things, including like this is your salary, so like 100%, how many percent should go to your food, how many percent should go to your
Budgeting.
transport,
Oo.
budgeting. So these things, because nobody is actively teaching these things, parang you don't get to university and then you have a subject as financial planning, unless maybe you're an accountancy student or in financial management. So
Mm.
wala rin, di ba? Parang, and then, may stigma pa yon na parang, you don't have your life all together because kumbaga parang you're struggling to parang how to again, social media plays an important factor in this, because you would see all these people on social media like parang kape every day or parang
Hmm.
traveling to the spaces and stuff like that.
Yes.
Tapos parang ikaw, parang it tends to parang one person may be disappointed that he's not able to do all of that, but nobody's telling him, parang paano ba yun, di ba? Parang how are they able to achieve that? Gano'n. Parang maiisip pa na parang maybe my salary is too low when in fact
Mm.
hindi naman, di
Hindi
ba?
naman.
So, yun. Yeah. So, what we do here is that we try to kumbaga parang launch programs that address this phenomenon and this need. So a particular thing is a seminar on investments, but this is not through any private entity. So, di ba, you have all this like financial advisors. I will not say na lang na
Hmm.
kung which
Sure,
one.
sure.
Yeah, but financial advisors, you know naman who they are. So it did go that route uh initially, or at least for now hindi yun ang route na what we're trying to instill or what we're trying to recommend, no, to our people, but it's in investments for the government. So like for example, you've heard of MP2,
MP2.
uh
Pag-ibig.
yeah, for pag-ibig fund. So it sounds so unsexy, right? Diba? Parang when you're like 23 and somebody asks you like, do you have MP2? And it's like, what?
Oo.
And then you're like, what are you talking about? Diba? But when you ask somebody, like for example, in the same age as we are, and then you ask her, oh, you have MP2? Oh yeah, I have an MP2. So, diba? So,
Mm.
a light flashes in your head. Parang, oh, you got your life together, blah, blah, blah. Yun. So, we try to find programs that would they would understand better, because they don't have attention spans na as long as we would want to,
Mhm.
you have to have like a catchphrase or something that would make them interested. Kumbaga, what's the catch? Ganyan. What's the catch? What's in there for me? And stability is not something that you use as kumbaga, a come on, di ba? Na parang, kunyari, when they ask you, what's in it for me, ma'am, di ba? And then you
Mm.
say, financial stability. When you're young, you don't care about that. Most most don't care about that. So you have to make it appealing for them. Again, speak their language. Speak their language. Find services that they can see an actual use for. So it could be like, for example, rewards programs that it gives out vouchers and stuff like that. So yung mga ganun, if you're able to save up this N number of whatever, ganyan,
Mm.
uh, for a certain period of time. And then you explain to them the importance of it, so that, and then you let them decide for themselves,
Yes.
ultimately.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
yun. That's what we try to do around here. But I really do agree that it's a topic that should be talked about more often.
Yes.
Talaga.
Yes. Agree.
Mhm.
Ito, I want to share something lang, Miss Man, kasi I have a guest also from the IT industry.
Mhm.
They're really giving priority on financial literacy because they are
Mhm.
concerned that yung employees nila, again, the younger generation, and they are really earning very attractive salary, like six figures.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
hindi ano hindi issue sa kanila yung if there's a loan facility, what they're really after is really educating their employees on how to manage their finance. Kasi like what
Yes.
you said kanina, what you shared na coffee every day, travel here, latest gadgets, 'di ba? It's well again, it's
Mhm.
pera nila yun eh. It's their privilege. But if you're really
Mm.
concerned about their well-being, you really have to parang guide them and educate them
Mm.
on how to make use
Mhm.
of their funds very ano ba? Use
Wisely.
wisely. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
term, very wisely.
Oo.
Yun. Okay. So, eto, let's jump in naman to AI. We're not going to deep dive to AI. But as you know, it's very popular nowadays. Everyone is using
Mhm.
AI. So
Yeah.
as an for you at HR, how do you see artificial intelligence and its different forms to be useful or a useful tool that HR can capitalize to streamline or to make things easier for HR processes?
Mhm. Okay. Well, first of all, let it be said that I really like AI and all
Ah,
things
okay.
AI. And so,
Talaga?
yeah, in fact, I was asked actually to do a talk on HR and AI.
Mm.
Like but that's been part for now. But going back to your question, there are a number of things, of course, at the top of my head for HR practitioners that you could use or that you could utilize uh to your benefit. Kumbaga, as you said, to streamline some processes without, of course, losing the human connection, because that's very important. A popular example of how AI can be of a benefit to HR practitioners, especially let's use recruitment as an example. So you have this AI bot screeners already. Yeah. So sometimes bigger companies would have that like a system that it's a job bank of some sort. So all of the applications through different job portals, it gets funneled through that whole application system. Uh, and then a recruiter would then see like maybe I don't know like 4,000, let's say 4,000 different resumes. Now, if you don't have a bot screener doing these things for you, your recruiter would be checking each and one of these like 4,000 4,000 applications, and then that's all that he or she is going to do for a day. And now you get to decide whether that is a good investment of her salary or not, right? So it depends on you talaga. So that is one thing. But okay, so some people would say na parang so it's a machine that's picking up the applications, ganyan ganyan. So well, yes and no. Yes, in the essence that it helps filter out. It depends on how you're using it, no? So if you use it to filter out the unwanted ones, depending on a very basic set of parameters that you have set, so it will be of help to you. Pero if you're trying to, kumbaga, parang streamline it uh, to a way, in such a way that parang there's nothing for you to do left, then there's the margin of error spiking right up. Ganun yun. So, kumbaga, parang try to let AI help you do the most basic set of things, but you get to decide ultimately again after. So let's say the 4,000 applications have been streamlined to, let's say, like 500 applications. Now you work on that 500 applications yourself. So ganun siya. Now that's just one example. For the others naman, in communication, that is one thing. You have Chat GPT handy. Wherever, sometimes there are, sige, do muna tayo sa, like, say, for example, email communication, sometimes when you're doing something for so long, parang you have this, parang you always have an idea how to answer things up, right? But because you're doing it parang repetitively, sometimes yung words parang, nga, I forgot what's that called? Ayun, yung mga gano'n. Minsan, there are lapses like that, eh, no? Ano, parang, what do I say nga? Thank you for what? Gano'n. So, so dami na parang iba-ibang parang responses mo to each and every concern. Sometimes may nakakalimutan ka kung kahit yung pinakasimple lang minsan, eh, alam mo yun? Kasi ngayon may mga autocorrect na, di ba? Minsan hindi ka naman mag-spell, eh. Di ba? Parang exercise, but mali. Di ba? So, gano'n. So, it helps in drafting. Kumbaga parang templates for you. Ganyan. But syempre naman, you feed it with the right prompts, no? You don't expect it to do your job for you. I mean, part of it maybe, but not the whole of it. So, yun. Ngayon, I find it really, I don't know if I find it amazing or amusing. Maybe both na lang. Before, there was a time back then na parang to write a cover letter for an application is such parang a pain, you know? When there are young applicants na parang would take a whole day off just to write their cover letter and make sure that it's perfect and everything. It will catch the attention of whoever is going to read it. But now you have ChatGPT, you have AI, then you can just say, write me a cover letter, say this, say that, blah, 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 and then you have it. So now we get an influx of applications with super nicely written cover letters. Ngayon naman, that poses a con also. It's a pro for the other side, but it's also a con for you because you don't know whether or not this person can converse as good as how he is writing this cover letter of his to you, kumbaga. So, now again, doon na naman pumapasok yung our ability and our skill set to translate, because you have to, now, HR people have to, kumbaga parang learn how to read AI-generated content, So, kasi parang once we see something, parang, AI ito, So, parang you don't believe what you see off the bat agad, kumbaga. So, that's a con of it. Ngayon, but there are a lot more cons, especially for example, policy making, Parang, when you write a policy, parang you have a policy in mind, di ba? Parang you write a policy because you want something to be standardized, right? Or, you want to have like a set of guidelines for something that should be there. Ganyan. Now, it's hard to write in business jargon, Parang even if you have experience, parang there are some things pa rin na kumbaga parang you might forget na, nga, dapat pala may clause pala ako ng ganito or something. Now, you could just ask AI, your AI website or AI tool to create a policy that includes this and that and that. And then you use the power of your discernment to determine whether the policy that this AI tool has generated is gonna work for you or
Sorry. So ano rin siya, no? Double-edged din si AI when it comes to those things,
yeah.
no? Mm.
As with all things in technology naman, I always say that naman, there are always two prongs to a story. You have the positive and then you have the negative. You just have to, again, learn how to navigate between this and then pick whatever works for your boat. Kumbaga.
Yes. Exactly.
Mhm.
Agree, Miss Maan. Okay, eto
Mhm.
let's move naman to war for talents. Kasi it's a global
Yeah.
it's a global thing now, 'di ba?
Mhm.
How is your company adapting to this phenomenon wherein hindi lang local companies yung kakompete ninyo eh. 'Di ba? With the advent
Mhm.
of remote work, remote work anywhere, work from home or work at your own pace. 'Di ba? The
Yeah.
competition is now fiercer. Especially
Yeah,
for
correct.
IT kasi 'di ba again
Mhm.
companies abroad can offer like better or more attractive salaries, 'di ba?
Mhm.
And considering yung pool for the IT talents is not that deep, 'di ba? And then ang dami pang nagko-compete. So how is your company adapting to this phenomenon?
Okay. First of all, you have to learn or know how to position yourself in the market as an employer, So parang you
Mm.
figure out what everybody somebody else is offering, and then you cross check it with what you can, and then whatever you can't, you find a way to market it in such a way that the good outweighs the bad. Like, we don't have this, but we have this one. So
Mm-mm.
ganon, like parang what will be the main draw to you? Kumbaga, parang let's say all of the companies this one person is applying for, uh is parang remote, offering fully remote work setup. So kumbaga parang, so you kind of like lost your leverage on that front already, di ba?
Mm-mm.
But uh, other factors would also come into play. Like for example, ito in terms of like HR perspective, ha? So,
Mm-mm.
when this person gets to the interview, number one, how many interview sessions do you have before I get a job offer?
Mm-mm.
So, like this company, let's say for example, gives out like times two of what is it you're offering because they're MNC, they could afford that. But if you're a local company, sometimes it's harder for you to keep up with those rising prices, right?
Yes.
But there are applicants who are looking for something else. So you tap into those people. So let's say, okay, so ito nga siya, times 2 nga siyang salary, pero parang 50 naman ang interview na kailangan mong attendan bago mo makuha yung JO, di ba? At lahat yan
Mm-mm.
panel interview. So why are you
Ah.
making it so hard? So, yun. So that's a point of leverage siya. Parang in here, syempre, uh, what I always say in recruitment is, you get their foot into the door. That's the most important thing. Just get this applicant's foot into the door, and then let's work our magic from there. You know,
Mm-mm.
you speak about what is it that you can do for them. You be fair and you be honest. I always try to make it a point that I'm honest, and I say it outrightly. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat things here. That's what I'm
Mm-mm.
going to say. Uh, if you say that you get offered something like to this end amount of this other company, and I would say like parang I could definitely not be able to give you that,
Yes,
but
yes.
what I can give you is this instead. Now, uh, if you are looking for something para to further your finances, then probably this is not the right place for you. But if you are looking for this and that, that is what we can help you with. So that is how I try to frame it so that it works in our favor. That is just an example of it. For example lang ha, kunyari for if it's the salaries that we're talking about. But if it's other
Mm-hmm.
things, like for example, oh, we have this benefits and all things, blah blah blah, all types of allowances. I have a rice allowance. I have a hot dog allowance or whatever type of allowance you have. I don't care about your allowances. You want to
Ah.
learn, you come with me. That's what I say.
Mm-mm.
Yun. And
Nice.
then some would appreciate that, the notion of that. It's important again. Just to reiterate, know who your audience is. Always know who your audience is, and learn to uh kumbaga, parang navigate around that and use that to your favor. So that is helpful advice, I guess, also for the smaller companies there who cannot compete with the rising salaries out there.
Pero eto,
Yeah.
I have wala to sa set of questions ko but nag-pop up
Yeah, okay.
nag-pop up lang bigla. Pet peeve ko to eh. I
Mm-mm.
appreciate HR but this is a pet peeve. Bakit may nanggo-ghost na HR? Like for I personally experienced
Yeah.
this sa LinkedIn, di ba? They send a
Oo.
message like,
Yeah.
Homer, I came across your profile and you seem like a good fit, yada yada.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can we have a quick
Mm-mm.
call? Sure. Then, quick call happened and then nag-submit ako ng resume. And then, ginost na ako. So,
Wala na.
I'm not sure if it's like a normal thing. Pero again, I understand siguro pag hindi na ako binalikan, maybe I'm not qualified or maybe a better candidate.
Mm-mm.
Pero 'di ba dapat parang may courtesy na sabihan mo naman ako hindi yung 'di
Yes.
ba? So
Yes. Oo.
sorry pet
Mm-mm.
peeve ko lang Miss Maan. I'm not sure if
Oo.
it's something that you have came across being an HR manager. Baka yung mga especially for younger recruiters, I think it's more evident to them.
Mm-mm.
So
Mm-mm.
bakit may ganun?
Okay. Uh, personally, uh, personally, I feel hurt. I feel hurt when they say that we don't reply because Well, I guess it is the instance with other companies, no? But with me kasi, parang in all of like the companies that I have handled, I always made sure to reply to these applicants, especially if kumbaga parang they have gone through the screening process. You owe that
Mm.
much to them kasi. So parang always make it a point to always be available. Like when they ask you, dapat sasagot ka. Kasi nga, di ba, parang it's not a one-way street eh. So parang you want something from them, they want something from you. So parang, and now, parang if it turns out pala na parang you don't get this, you can get what you want from them. So tapos you just discard them like, di ba, like, uh, like it's nothing, like they're nothing. So I don't like that. But the answer to that is this. But the answer is also readily available in the internet because all of those employers who do that and put a tarnish to our name are using it as an excuse. They are saying that we receive thousands of applications every day, and it is not possible for us to reply to each and every single one. But I don't believe that because you
Not
have
buying that.
AI now. Yeah, you have AI now, and
Oo.
if you are the least that you could do is send an automated response, right? And then,
Mm.
or if you cannot do that because you don't have the budget or the leeway to do that or to, buy a system that does that for you, when you get the opportunity, kumbaga parang, let's say, by the first step of jobs or always you send a resume or a CV to, or you send your application, and then somebody gets in touch with you, right? And saying
Mm.
this and that and that. So, that's the first base of communication. Doon pa lang, sabihin mo na parang if you don't receive an email from us or communication from us within N number of time,
Mm.
consider other opportunities already. So, di
Yes.
ba? So, para
Oo.
doon pa lang, alam na nila agad na gano'n. So,
Mm.
I don't know what's it with them. It's mostly, I don't know. I don't want to judge them naman. Maybe they're heartless. But
Ayun.
that's them. That's them, no? So, I'm not trying
Oo.
to toot my own horn here, but if you talk
Mm.
to the people who have known me professionally, they would always say that, she does not do that.
Yes, yes. Nagsumbong lang ako sa'yo, Miss Maan.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sorry on behalf of those other people, although I will not excuse them.
Okay. Sige, eto.
Mhm.
If there's one misconception about HR that you want to disprove, you want to bust,
Mhm.
what would that be?
Oh my God, isa lang?
Ilan ba?
Ah, sige, I'm just gonna give one.
Like yung pinaka ano sa'yo,
Uh,
pinaka like top of your mind na when
okay.
when people parang, HR, okay.
Mm. That HR is boring. Or you're a boring
Hmm.
person because you're in HR,
Okay.
because it's not. It's totally not boring. And then you face a different set of problems each and every day, and you cannot have a templated response to each of all these problems because you're dealing with people, and people are different in all ways.
Yes.
So, if you're an HR person who kumbaga parang deals with people similarly, iba pa to dun syempre sa pagiging fair and all, no? So, syempre dapat naman may ganun. But aside from that, if you apply kumbaga the same ointment to burns that you see, uh, well, I don't think that is a good representation of what HR really is. And as opposed to what other people may think, it's not a pen and paper test type of job. Otherwise, why
Hmm.
am I here in a podcast?
Hmm.
And again, in it's also not true that in HR there is no math. So for all of the
Right, right. Walang kawala
all
sa
of the
math.
yeah, of all the young people out there who is thinking of taking up HR because they think HR or psychology because they think that this will not have math or computations. Well, I'm sorry, there will be, but it's not as intense or as heavy as maybe those of engineers, but there will
Mm.
be. And there is an additional responsibility to the maths that you do in HR, because the maths that you do here are going to be used as recommendations for bettering up the lives of people that are just not numbers, but people with their
Yes.
own lives to live. So
Mm.
there.
Galing, galing. I remember one of my guests also mentioned that the
Mhm.
importance of math, especially Excel.
Yeah.
Sabi niya, imperative,
Yeah.
imperative sa akin na kapag may mag-apply ng HR, HR manager din to. So they have to
Mm-hmm.
know Excel, VLOOKUP. Kasi again,
Correct. Mm-hmm.
we are now in the era wherein everything should be data driven, di ba? Special decisions.
Correct.
And that's
Correct.
where
Yeah.
yung analytical skills ni HR comes in. 'Di ba? If you're going
Yeah.
to read like let's say you have 1,000 employees and you have to evaluate like performance management and you're going to deal with really
Mm-hmm.
big numbers. So kailangan talagang
Mm-hmm.
ano ka sa Excel, very well versed ka. And also, if you're going to present a program kay management and you want to get their buy-ins, you have to present data and information and you have to
Yeah,
analyze.
correct.
So doon papasok yung
Mm-hmm.
pagiging ano mo,
Mm.
pagiging
Hindi
analytic.
naman hindi naman kasi puwede yun na parang hinugot mo lang sa kung
Oo,
saan yung
from thin air, 'di
recommendation
ba?
mo, 'di
Oo.
ba? So, for example, may programa ka na gusto, papa-approve ka ng budget, 'di ba? Tapos, siyempre hihingian ka, "O, yung last mo ba, ano ba yung turnout, ano ba yung percent, blah, blah, blah," ganyan. So, hindi naman
Ah.
puwede na sabihin mo lang na, maganda po." Ay,
Oo.
okey naman po. Paano mo
Tama,
nasabi yun? And
tama,
I
oo.
always say this, I dislike numbers when I have to compute them, but I like them when they tell me a story. So,
Tama.
ayun. So, kasi when you just view numbers like that, I find I'm like, I am the most maths averse person that you can meet. Like really, I'm so bad at it. It's like a personal characteristic of mine. But I eventually it turned out that I like it when it tells stories. So I got the hang of it. When you see numbers, you just lead up like that, and you
Mm.
find it boring na. O tapos, but when you compute for something, we're trying to find something, or when you're trying to get at the bottom of something to offer data driven recommendations, then that's where the fun lies. So that line goes to all the stats people who are thinking of going
Mm.
into HR, and all the data intelligence people. Ayan, so we have it loads here in HR.
Nice, nice. I also like what
Mm-hmm.
you've said na hindi kasing intense naman like for engineering people, 'di ba?
Mm-mm. Hindi naman.
'Di ba? Let AI do that computation, do that heavy
Mm.
lifting, 'di ba? So let AI do
Yeah.
that. Mm.
Your
Okay.
analysis is the most important thing, coupled with
Yes.
your genuine interest in caring people.
People. Okay.
Mm.
Ito, Miss Maan, if there's one change that you want to happen in the HR landscape dito sa Philippines, what would that be?
I would wish for it to be more data-driven, really. In that, kasi naman, the others naman, like for example, labor practices. No, we have not touched on that.
Mm.
Labor practices and government regulations in terms of employment here in the Philippines are one of the best, actually, in Asia. Actually,
Talaga?
yes, because this is first and foremost, this is the country with the most number of leaves. So that's very that's very, yeah, pro employee, no?
Mm.
Our labor institution is mostly pro employee talaga. So it's not pro employer. And workers have uh rights talaga, rights that are there, and they could go to institutions to ensure that these rights are not violated and that they are protected. So yun. So on that regard, I do not wish for, I guess, anything more to be improved on. So what I wish for is for a more data driven landscape. Especially hopefully now, though, I guess we get to do that a lot more now, because the workforce is getting younger, so they're more kumbaga inclined to these things. Oh wow, this is science stuff, I like this, ganyan. To hear out for kumbaga parang to hear out the results of this data driven analysis, and to use it to for the benefit of like the organization that the HR is working for, kumbaga. Kasi parang hindi yon napulot lang sa banga. Again, it your tell you something, and just like when you're sick, you listen to your symptoms, right? So in workplace, in the workplace, you read your numbers and then you learn from your numbers so that you know how to go on from that. So yung iba kasi ngayon parang especially kunyari pag smaller company, no, so parang they would think na parang ay hindi naman kailangan yan or something like that. Or parang I don't need to study that based on this and that. Kasi 5 lang naman tong tao ko. So pag in-evaluate ko sila, good, better, best na lang. Ganyan, di ba? Good, excellent, very good, better, best. Ganyan. Okay. So, hindi po yun patas. Kumbaga, parang may mas patas sa paraan kung paano natin parang makakalkula at maibibigay yung what is due for them. Yun.
Okay. Ito.
Mm.
What will be your message to the young people who are dreaming, who are planning to venture a career in HR? What will be your advice to them? Except for the
Okay.
math.
Okay. Don't. Hindi.
Go.
Siguro, parang if you want to be in HR, make sure that it's because you really want to be here. And it's not because you don't have any other career options left. Because this is a thankless job. It is a thankless job.
Yes.
And, but it's not all bad. It is rewarding. It is very rewarding. Now, if you want sleepless nights and thinking about your quotas and the problems of your employees who sometimes speak to you beyond midnight because they have this little problem and you need to speak to them because you're HR, you'll be here. And make sure that you are passionate about people. Okay? Because if you're not gonna last. You're not gonna last. If you're not continuously interested in improving the lives of people in the workforce and figuring out what makes these people tick, kumbaga, and all in the service. Again, that is the most important. That is the point that I want to reiterate. It is a thankless job. Okay, so if you're looking for accolades and all those stuff, maybe not this one. But if you're into service, like social welfare, if you're into like service and people, then this will be it for you. And don't fret if, for example, you manage to land a job in human resources. So say, for example, the first part of you have that locked already. Like, oh yeah, ma'am, I have genuine interest in people and I'm adaptive and all of those other things that you said. If you have that locked down, and then you manage to get a job in HR, then learn as much as you can.
Nice.
Okay, learn as much as you can and don't kumbaga parang let the confines of your role hinder you from learning so much more.
Nice. Thank you, Miss Maan.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so before I end my podcast, we have this short game. Familiar ka ba sa Fast Talk?
Oh my God. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yes.
Sige,
Okay.
go.
Work from home or on-site?
Oh, hybrid. Pwede ba yun? Wala sa
Go.
choices.
Sure. Presenter or part of the audience?
Oh, presenter.
Nice. Calendar or
Mhm.
email?
Email.
Nice. Windows or Mac?
Mac.
Uniform or dress down?
Dress down.
Nice. Dole or SSS?
SSS. Who
Water
would say
or
Dole? My God.
water or coffee?
Coffee naman, Diyos ko.
Talaga. Recruitment or training?
Training.
Empathy or competency?
Empathy.
Facebook or LinkedIn?
Oh, Facebook.
Nice. Okay. Again, thank you so much, Miss
Yeah.
Man, for being such a good sport. And for all the things that you have shared, I'm sure marami ring matututunan yung audience natin. And if there are people who wants to connect or who wants to network with you, what's the best way?
Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name there is what's my name here? Maan. Yeah, that's my name. My real name is Mary Ann. Actually, I don't like to be called that, so I've been going by my nickname for the longest
Maan,
time. Yeah.
okay.
So don't call me Mary Ann, or else I would not respond to you.
Talaga. Okay,
Okay.
okay lang
Yeah.
ba if I'm going to like a screenshot of your LinkedIn profile tapos share
Oh,
natin dito? Will that work? Will that
yeah.
work? Okay lang?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sure, 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 sure. Go
Sige.
ahead.
That's all, and this has been your HR Champions podcast. See you on our next episode.
All right. Thank you.